Alrighty, friends, who's ready for story time? We've got an untold story in here, I think, one I've never read before. Where were we? Last one was pretty funny. Let's see if we can find another one like that. Okay, the surprise. It was October. The leaves had fallen off the trees. They were lying on the ground. "I will go to Toad's house," said Frog. "I will rake all of the leaves that have fallen on his lawn, and Toad will be surprised." Frog took a rake out of the garden shed. Toad looked out of his window. "These messy leaves have covered everything," said Toad. He took a rake out of the closet. "I will run over to Frog's house. I will rake all of his leaves. Frog will be very pleased." Frog ran through the woods so that Toad would not see him. And Toad ran through the high grass so that Frog would not see him. Frog came to Toad's house. He looked in the window. "Good," said Frog. "Toad is out. He will never know who raked his leaves." Toad got to Frog's house. He looked in the window. "Good," said Toad. "Frog is not home. He will never guess who raked his leaves." Frog worked hard. He raked the leaves into a pile. Soon Toad's lawn was clean. Frog picked up his rake and started home. Meanwhile, Toad pushed and pulled on the rake. He raked the leaves into a pile. Soon there was not a single leaf in Frog's yard. Toad took his rake and started home. A wind came. It blew across the land. The pile of leaves that Frog had raked for Toad blew everywhere. And the pile of leaves that Toad had raked for Frog blew everywhere. When Frog got home, he said, "Tomorrow I will clean up the leaves that are all over my own lawn." How surprised Toad must be. And when Toad got home, he said, "Tomorrow I will get to work and rake all of my own leaves." And how surprised Frog must be. That night, Frog and Toad were both happy when they each turned out the light and went to bed. All right, well, and what is the moral of that story? What is the moral of that story? Did it matter that in the end neither one of them knew that a favor had been done for them? Or was God in the act and the intentionality of wanting to help a friend and surprise them and give them an experience? Oh my gosh, could that be it? Could that be the secret to happiness? I did something for you and you didn't even know. You might not have even gotten it, but I created it. I did it. My intention was pure. My conscience was pure. I did it the whole time with you in mind, with service in mind. And even if something happened afterwards that destroyed the entire manifestation of that act so that you could see it, the fact that it was done from the heart is what was the indestructible force that never dies. And it fills you up, and it makes up for a lot of bullshit that you don't need to react to, because there's a lot of people that choose not to come from the heart and they expect a reward for everything, and they imagine that it is a major tragedy if they do something and there is seemingly no reward or no physical manifestation of whatever reward was wanted or hoped for. But if you do it with that in mind, you're not really detached, and detachment is sort of the key. Intention and detachment seem to be the key, and doing things in a state of service first, you know, as a creator, as a creator being, as a creative, as a content creator of any kind. And whether you're broadcasting or not, you're a content creator. You just don't think of yourself that way. At least not yet. But when you do, good for you. Just remember, it's more about the intention. It's more about the just the fact that you did it for your own reasons, for your own growth. When you hold that frequency, it's like lifting weights. It's like working out a muscle. It's like, you know, doing puzzles or whatever you do. Like maybe you're into crosswords or Sudoku or whatever. I'm not myself that much, but I know people who are, and they just enjoy that kind of thing. And it's sort of like that, you know, it's like something you do for fun, just for your own mental stim, you know. You can look for other sapiosexuals that are mentally stimulating, and you'll find some, but, you know, the most important thing is that you can mentally stim yourself with your own God force. Oh, and be sure to love your inner child. Barbie is kind of a artistic expression today of my inner child that, you know, was objectified a lot growing up, as most divine feminines are. You know, I was supposed to be all like looking like this and stuff, and you know, I really don't care about that, nor do I appreciate being told what to do or how to do it or how to look or you know, anything like that. And it's not that there's anything wrong with this look per se. And that's the thing, we tend to project the negativity onto this look when in fact, you know, it's misplaced anger to do that, to project it onto the objectified party. This is a scapegoat. You know, I mean, how many people see? It's like, you know, you've been programmed to secretly like respond to this type of a look in a female. Most people have and do, even if they respond to a lot of other looks like this. The whole, you know, curvy, you know, like 36, 24, 36 measurement, proportions, hip to waist ratio, long blonde hair, always smiling, always a pleaser, you know, bikini wearing. You know, this is the type of thing, this is the type of body image stuff that, you know, a lot of people really don't like. Because it puts them in a box and it fails to appreciate the wide range of body shapes and sizes and hairs and, you know, basically, you know, divine feminine is divine feminine. There's no denying that. There's no putting that in a cage. There's no, you know, putting a saddle on that and riding it. You know, that's a horse that can't be tamed, or at least not for very long. And, you know, being given messages from pretty much, you know, as far back as you can remember your childhood consciously, you know, that this is like what you are supposed to aspire to look like is just sheer nonsense, and there's a clear lack of common sense in all advertising and marketing that says anything to the contrary. But it's just up to us to recognize that and to just, you know, scoff. You know, you got to laugh at that and just assert your dominance over, like, hey, this is what it is. This is how I'm dressing today. This is how I look. You know, deal with it. Get used to it. I have to look at you. What are you doing to improve my view? Hey, it works both ways. It's not my job to be pretty for you, if this is what pretty is, which, you know, but because I did feel like this particular iconic figure has been sort of used to give women and girls a clear message that these are the proportions that are the most socially acceptable in our culture. You know, again, it's not the doll's fault. You know, she was created out of a, I don't know, male fantasy. And channeled through a female creator to supposedly make it look like this is like what women want. But I question that. I question that narrative. And I don't blame Barbie. Like I said, I used to play with Barbie when I was young, and I really enjoyed, you know, and I have like Ken too. Ken is just hang on, let me get Ken, or you'll just say like I'm just saying this about women, and I'm not. Okay, so we got Ken too. We've got the divine masculine and the divine feminine, and you know what? You know, I'm telling you, like, yeah, I mean, Ken has had just as much, you know, stuff projected onto him, all the macho stuff, all the G.I. Joe stuff, you know, just a lot of BS, a lot of programming. So it's funny, like when I was a kid, I used to mainly make up stories for Barbie and Ken that were romantic. Like I had the Barbie dream house and, and the car, the Corvette. It was the 80s. Don't shame me. I can't help that the 80s were what they were. Actually, they're pretty darn great. I think that's where I got a lot of my goofiness. Is There was a lot of goofy stuff going down in the 80s. But anyway, so I would make up mostly romantic type. I mean, okay, so I mean, just a picture. I won't do it, but I had Barbie and Ken on top of each other. Okay, usually on the 3rd floor of the Barbie dream house. It was the penthouse suite, and I had a lot of other Barbies that were not like really like this quality, but more like the cheap plastic kind, and they were like the minions, like the friends of these two. And I guess it was, I don't know, I mean, I was programmed at the time. I didn't know how much, but now that I'm grown, of course I can see it for what it is. And as of right now, I feel like I've deprogrammed enough that when I look at these dolls, to me they look like brother and sister. I feel like both of these dolls, have iconography attached to them for most people who've seen them, played with them, or played with any dolls that kind of have these body proportions and stuff. I mean, it goes into like all the just basically anything that's been cast into plastic or whatever. It's like this is what you should look like, or I mean, it gives you something to kind of project your consciousness into and create a story around, which is your imagination, which really kind of creates the quality of your mind and your experience in your life. So if you don't like it, you can change it. We're all storytellers. We're all script writers of our own life. We all, choose the characters within and without that we allow in our own lives. And, if you can look at some of the things that you were doing when you were younger, it really helps you to get in touch with your own inner child. So, like these two, they're holding hands. In brotherly and sisterly love, which is really what, unconditional love or agape is, where, people just like each other for their qualities, not their body parts. So, like, Barbie is actually a writer and a poet, and she has a lot of strong spiritual experiences and feelings, and so does Ken. Um, Ken has a lot of really great qualities too. He's a lot of man, and the reason he's a lot of man is because he has, much like Barbie, confronted a lot of his inner demons and the things that were driving him. Compulsions. He used to have a porn addiction, and he doesn't anymore, for example. And it took a lot, but he was able to kind of integrate his both hemispheres of the brain. So like both of these figures to me represent individually they've integrated both their masculine and their feminine energies to come together, much like a functioning human brain that hasn't been split. Those synapses across the masculine and the feminine side of the brain, the right and the left, one side being more analytical and the other side being more fem intuitive. And together, if you can bridge the gap of those two hemispheres, get those neurons firing, and the masculine and the feminine come together quite nicely. And it's not about a joining of the groin, the root chakra. It's about a joining of the minds. See, most people are conditioned and brainwashed to be, giving all their power away, all their energy, time suck away to the lower chakras, which are like your root chakra. And I know most of you have probably heard of chakras and things like that by now, but for those of you that haven't, basically it has to do with the spine, and certain points, energy meridians, that correspond to, in most models. They're just models to different colors, and most models, there's 7 of them. So we'll stick with that. The main thing to remember is it's about the spine, and it's about these, energy centers, and awakening basically that kundalini within, which happens at the base of the spine. And it's represented by, like, the colors of the rainbow. Probably learned in school about Roy G. Biv. So R is red, O is orange, Y is yellow, and so on, all the way up to G for green, blue, indigo, and violet. Okay, violet being the 7th and the top crown chakra. So when you're experiencing a lot of sexual difficulties, or preoccupations, compulsions, anything that you feel like you can't control, or if you feel like you're sort of mindlessly humping like a dog, I've worked in the pet industry, and there is what is known as like a compulsive humper. As far as a dog, there are dogs that just cannot stop like grabbing another dog by the hips, and like doing this. Males, females, spayed, neuter, it doesn't matter. It's more common in unneutered males, but all dogs can do it. And there's different reasons why, but whatever the reason is, if you find yourself doing it and getting some negative feedback, but you can't control it, you might be pretty programmed, i.e. brainwashed, to be leaking a lot of your energy, giving all of your power away to your root chakra, which is the base of the spine, or the the reproductive primary sexual organs. Now, you don't have to indulge that. I recommend for people to just do whatever you need to do to try to take a break for a while and get some perspective before you do anything else, if that's kind of where you're at. Because when you start to get some control over your lower chakra, it's going to enhance your whole life. It's going to start improving, things, just straight up the spine. And this is how the kundalini is in the lower spine, like in the tailbone area. And so being anointed, or being a Christed being, means like opening up all your chakras, like getting rid of all the things that block you, where you're leaking energy, so you can keep it in the body, and getting that flow back. You're going to get a lot more energy. It's anti-aging. It's going to regulate everything from your emotions to your weight to any other health issues that you have going on. It's very healing energy, and you want to keep it in your body instead of constantly giving away your emotions to other things. Like you see something that triggers you, like you read the wrong tweet, and and then you're in a bad mood for the next day. That's what I'm talking about. That's giving all your power away. And once you get some control over that, which is what I help people do, you start to, get rid of all your blocks in the lower centers, which are, basically about halfway up. We've got, 3 lower chakras, which correspond to the Roy part. The red, the orange, and the yellow are, the root chakras, as far as, reproductive survival type issues, like survival of the species. The yellow is, mainly, survival, and orange, survival fears, mostly around like money and things like that. So obviously, the porn industry is well represented, because it's basically just about the root chakras, the lower centers. But as you start to get some self-control, however you define that, it's up to you. I don't tell people how to live their lives. I'm just, introducing you to maybe some new information, new paradigms, new ideas, and, you know, do with that what you would like. It's, you know, it's your game show, folks. It's not mine. But the main thing to be aware of, and this is like, you know, if you take nothing else from this talk, this is pretty key. It's about getting into your heart. It isn't even so much about, like, like you could say, like, metaphysically, it's better to get out of your head even than to get out of your groin. Because when you get out of your head and into your heart, however you get into the heart, just get into the heart. Okay? And from there, it lights a fire. And it will burn off a lot of the other stuff that maybe, you know, you don't even know you have it. Getting into the heart causes a rapid acceleration of energy. The heart is where, you know, the intentionality is pulsed into the universe as far as like where you're coming from. And once it's activated, you start getting into the higher centers where you start opening up, you know, your heart space. The thymus is here. It's sometimes called the clown chakra. You're going to start to get your sense of humor back. You know, we get into the throat chakra, and, you know, you're just going to start to, you know, get your voice back. Stop being afraid to speak your truth. You're going to, you know, reactivate that pituitary gland and the pineal, your third eye, and they'll form a bridge, and you are going to be friggin' unstoppable. And it's going to free your mind, basically. And if you've got your mind free and your heart free and your groin free, you're going to feel like a pretty free spirit, if that's what you want. Some people want to stay locked in a physical and mental and emotional prison, looping with programs that other people have planted there, when what should be looping is the kundalini friggin' energy that everybody has. You got to do the inner work to get it flowing, but basically it's a circuit. I'll use Ken just because she's got a lot of hair and you can't really see her spine, but basically the Christed consciousness, you know, comes when you start to open up your chakras, and this circuit is made between, you know, all the chakras going up and down the spine. It creates, you know, it expands your aura, it changes your whole vibe. You'll feel different. Other people will notice and respond to you differently. It activates a lot of latent things or things that were buried. It can bring up, yeah, a lot of emotional stuff that needs to be purged, but if you can just remember it needs to go to, you know, get to all the good stuff underneath. Most people, it's not about adding anything to yourself, it's about taking stuff off. There's like, people have layers and layers and layers and layers of crap, you know, wrong belief systems, wrong thinking about themselves, feeling inferior, feeling shame, so much guilt, so much you know, jealousy and you know, snobbery, going from, you know, being a snob one minute to feeling completely inferior and like an imposter the next. That kind of stuff. So once you you know, activate that kundalini and you stop leaking it all, you know, through the groin. If you're compulsive really with anything, it can be drink, it can be, you know, you're just a constant asshole and you're, you know, you're constantly using your time and energy to just be like an ass, then, you know, you are what you think, you are what you do every day, you are how you act. That's the essence of that. Everybody's picking up on that. Everybody is getting a read on you and your essence. Your essence is your vibe. And it's your physiology, your language, your intentionality. You know, where is this person coming from? That's all we do is try to read each other. If you can get some control over where you are probably right now unconsciously leaking energy, i.e. giving your power away to other things, programs that don't serve you, other people, maybe relationships where you feel just a lot of conflict. You know, it's hot and cold a lot. You know, one day it's fun, the next day it's not. That kind of stuff. I mean, if you're constantly getting jerked around, you might want to check in. Is it worth it? If you were a boss and you hired you hired a person to do a job, and the way they're acting, would you keep paying them or would you fire them? You know, the same goes for your thoughts. You're the boss of your own body and your own mind and your own emotions in the final analysis. However you're triggered, at some point, if you can look at it as, you know, you are the boss of yourself, you create your own, you know, inner corporation, if you will. And if there is something that is causing a disruption and is not good for you, think about it like a true boss would. I don't care if you're a girl boss or boy boss, it doesn't matter. Whatever body you happen to find yourself in, you're in a body. Right now, anyway, in the 3D, and you know, you owe it to yourself as that consciousness in a body to fire those thought forms, however they got there, that don't serve you. The only reason why you don't is because you've been brainwashed to accept a bunch of crap and think about things the wrong way, and to put emphasis and priorities on things that don't matter. What everybody's searching for is the unification of the divine masculine and the divine feminine within. Of course, that's perverted by a lot of groups into like some sort of creepy worship of androgyny, and that's not what it means. That is not what it means. The only thing that matters is your own interpretation. There's so much has been distorted. If you hear something and it does not, that doesn't sound right. Your inner gut, your inner wisdom, your inner Christ. Everybody's got this. Christ means anointed. It's about the oils, the essence. You know, if you're talking about like aromatherapy, that's oils. That's like you take a plant, whatever it is, lavender, you know, and you press it, or olives, and you press them and you get the essence out. It's the oil, you know? And every living thing has like an essence of some kind. And it's like those living oils that lubricate the body and the energy pathways in the body. And when they go up to the crown chakra and form this circuit, and they're free to move around because there's no emotional, usually it's emotional blockages that fester, and then they can become physical ailments. So, you know, any dis-ease emotionally can become disease in the body, mind-body connection, psychosomatically. And, you know, people that have bad attitudes and are attention seeking because they have low self-esteem and are very insecure. You know, that's the kind of nonsense I'm talking about. You don't need to give it the time of day unless you want to. Maybe it's fun for you to give it the time of day. Maybe you want to make a comedy routine out of it. I don't know. I could have done something with that, but honestly, I don't feel like it because I felt like it was more attention seeking than anything. Like a little kid, like a dog that can't stand watching another dog get a pat on the head. No! I need some attention too! So, seen in a positive light, it's like things come up spiritually that just make your point, depending on how you respond to it. There was an opportunity there to respond, you know, negatively or angrily or in any number of different ways. There was also an opportunity to teach, you know, see it for what it is. And, you know, it's just a nice skill to have. So, food for thought, folks. Always a pleasure to be with you and share in the think tank, because I know you're all thinkers out there. You're all co-creators of this dream. And in order for us to co-create the best dream, the funnest, you know, and by that I mean where people just like stop complaining and stop, you know, saying stupid stuff and trying to play games and deceive each other. There's better games to play. There really is friendship and love and trust and honesty and nurturing in the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And probably a lot of what will occur that needs to occur the most to kind of, you know, unify these parts of the brain would be well, you know, people talk about the pole shift. It's really just a masculine feminine thing. So, you know, the first thing, like if you go to, say you go to couples therapy or marital therapy because, you know, one or both people are dissatisfied in a relationship. What's the first thing that therapist is going to ask both parties? Do you want to stay together? Maybe they don't. Maybe they're only there because, you know, somebody gave them a hard time. Maybe the boss said, yeah, you need couples therapy because you have to be married to look like the right type of executive for this job. Or the wife is only there because her mom wants her to be there. Or any number, or they're both only doing it because they have kids. That kind of, see, that's the wrong reasons. And the therapist has to know right from the get-go. I mean, do you really even like each other? Is there anything left? Is there any you can't have love without respect and a mutual desire to have a bond, to have contact. So many people are trapped in these contracts, these basically housing contracts, trapped in a house. You know, work contracts, trapped in a workplace with mates, supervisory people that can tell them what to do, that are like basically parental figures. Like, people are never allowed to grow up. You get a boss, and that's very much like having mommy or daddy in your life again, telling you when to get up, when you can eat, when you can pee, where you can do all this stuff, how you can do it for a wage of some kind, right? Which is fairly infantilizing, and a big part of the reason why a lot of people never do grow up, or at least not, or they don't mature very quickly. I mean, a lot of people that are, you know, on Social Security are mentally younger than some millennials, for example. It has maturity is not a function of chronological age, is the point. But basically, all of our systems pretty much are designed to kind of keep people from recognizing that they do have two sides of their brain and that both need to be developed. So the point of the therapist analogy is you have to kind of be your own therapist and ask yourself, like, do I want to be whole? Do I really want to get to know myself? Do I really want to be an integrated human being where I have access to not only the analytical side of my brain or only the intuitive side of my brain, but I actually want to, know myself well enough that I am able to access both sides, and I like both sides. I like both sides of myself. That's the thing, and that's what keeps a lot of people from doing it, is they really do not want to venture into one side or the other because they're much more comfortable being on one side of it or the other, or they want another person to embody that particular frequency for them, which is why a lot of people come together in relationships to complete each other. And in truth, there are no twin flames, or everybody's your twin flame. Because you're your own twin flame first. You integrate yourself, and then if you can find another integrated being that is in touch and loves both their masculine and feminine side, I mean, there can be so much spiritual alchemy in that, but it is, at this time anyway, kind of a rare thing. A lot of people don't really teach this stuff enough. But it is very simple. I think everybody can understand, that they have a brain. There's two sides to it. They have a spine. Obviously, there's energy. Obviously, there's good health and bad health. And basically, we just kind of need to rethink what bad health is. What do you think it is? Where do you think it comes from? Oh my God, could it ultimately be energy? Negativity, what is it? Positivity, what is it? Oh my God, it's energy. It's a thought form. Masculinity, femininity. What popped into your head when I said those words? We're all just our associations and our belief systems, folks. Choose consciously. Choose consciously. And choose wisely what your belief systems are, and don't take anything at face value, and don't take anybody's word for it, and don't take my word for it, because it is true. Okay, I'm going to give you two statements that are going to seem seemingly contradictory, but they're both true. One is, you've probably heard that it can help to have a guru or a guide or a teacher spiritually somebody, your therapist, or wherever you get your motivation, inspiration, things that make you want to look within. That's all that is. Okay, so it's true. It can be helpful, and most people have that. And if you don't have one in person, it's fine to get it from, books, recordings, anything that has been created by someone like that with a message, because you're responding to the message. Yes, I mean the messenger's signature is within the message, and it is embedded in the message. So that's why we like some messages better than others. It's just kind of the quality of it and where you're kind of, resonating in your current, wherever you're at in your spiritual evolution. Um, this is getting a little complicated, so I'm kind of losing my train of thought, but anyway, I talk a lot about these things to groups and individuals and make a lot of content around it. So it seems to have been my calling to sort of bring this forward, especially in places where it seems the most needed, even though it's not maybe compensated. And it is spiritual philanthropy for me because, yeah, a lot of the people that are hearing it on this particular platform are going to probably be angered by anyone trying to talk about positive things or talk about integrating the masculine and the feminine, because it's not a moneymaker, and it makes people think, and it makes them maybe not spend as much money to give all their power away and leak all their energy out their root chakra. So, that's what I'm dealing with. It doesn't change the fact that this is the calling, and if I didn't respond to it, I would, well, I know for a fact that I would probably regret it later, that I missed an opportunity, and I would definitely regret it that I didn't answer the call, because I know there's not, at this point in time, a lot of people that could or would do it, and we all, I mean, one of the things about being unintegrated is that you're always looking for a savior. Oh, that's where I was going with that. Is, a lot of times the reason people do stay in relationships that aren't satisfying, or they're past their prime, they're past whatever brought them together, whatever learning or enrichment, and people are just staying together out of a fear of being alone, or because they really deep down inside they want their partner to do and provide them with a feeling and play some kind of a role that they don't have themselves, they have not developed in themselves. And when that person doesn't do that, or they don't act that way, because that's not who they are, and it's not their job to, like, it's nobody's job to complete anyone else. It's your job to be true to yourself and to find true friends who accept you the way that you want to be. And you've always got a true friend in the Tao, the source, the higher power, the holy breath that dwells within. That's really all you can invest in, and that, because that's what enlivens you, that's what brings you to life, that's what gives you energy. That is your vibe, that is your essence, that is what other people are either repelled by or attracted to. Well, thanks, Rob, that's nice. And so, anyway, I know I'm getting a little all over the place here, but like back to that therapist analogy I was giving you. So yeah, the first thing like a marriage or a couples therapist will ask is, do you want to be together? Okay, this is important. All right, let me finish this thought. All right. So say the couple says, yeah, we do want to be together. We like they look each other in the eye, and there's something there that has to do with respect. Okay, that it can't be otherwise. There can be there if it isn't coming from the heart, it has nothing to do with respect, and it has nothing to do with love. Okay, so say that they both feel like there is something that they can um, respect in each other, that is a good reason for them to cohabitate, spend time together, be each other's primary conversational partner, among other things. That's really the most important thing, is the quality of your talks. I've said it before on this channel. It's like, there's really no other reason to be in a relationship except for spiritual growth. And the highest spiritual growth comes from two people consciously deciding to come together with that in mind, without a bunch of dogma and stuff like that, but just like kind of mindfully, like, we're both individually responsible for our growth, and then together we help each other even more. Okay. And so say the couple does want to stay together, give it a shot, be better spiritual partners for each other, then do you know what the number one therapy is to create a bond between a couple and establish a relationship based on mutual respect and empathy? Empathy is key. Empathy is the ability to feel how someone else is feeling. And unfortunately, since so many women have been brainwashed to sell themselves so short and act like, they're codependent and their only role is to give, 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 and serve, 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 and please, 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 and never, ask for more than a scrap from the table. Um, okay, so for those that have decided to, you know, walk the path of true respect and equality, and that aren't threatened by an equal partner of, any gender, um, the primary way to basically put that into action is just to trade places. How would you do that? Because when you trade places, like, I mean, roles. I mean, doing what the other person normally does so you can experience it for yourself. There's a lot of movies about things like that, like Trading Places, where it's about a rich guy and a poor guy that actually trade places so they both know like how the other half lives. Nothing creates greater empathy than that. It's your fear of experiencing how the other half lives that keeps you in a kind of mental prison, because there's fear there. Are you afraid to get in touch with your inner feminine? I would say, from what I've observed, for most men, that's a true statement. Now, I think it's slightly less true of women to be able to get into their divine masculine, because women have been, I think, asked to kind of redefine their role, and basically they just do everything now. Now I envision more of a smorgasbord of delights for like divine masculine and divine feminine embodied people, where everybody just, is able to experience whatever delight they want, whether it's considered more masculine or feminine. It's just going to be like a smorgasbord of experiences. Like, oh, I want to do this today. I want to do that today. And it's not going to be all rigid and like prescribed by programmers, and we don't need corporations telling us how to think or what to do or what to buy. If there's a profit motive behind it, you might want to ask yourself, why are they trying so hard to sell this to me, whether it's a product, a service, or an ideology? See, I come on here, I don't expect anything, and I typically don't get paid. And that's okay, because I know you're listening, and some of it's going to go in. And that's how I get paid. It's not an option for me whether or not I do this. It's not about the money. So there's another movie called Freaky Friday. I think there's been a remake of it. The first one came out in the 70s with Jodie Foster, about a mother-daughter who trade places. So like the consciousness of the daughter goes into the mother and vice versa. So the mother basically ends up going to school and having like a middle schooler type of day with all of the hilarity and comedy that creates. Meanwhile, the daughter has her Mother's Day. It's a good movie. It's funny because they both, in the end, when they switch back, understand each other a whole lot better, and they have a better mother-daughter relationship because of it. So it works whether it's parent-child, partners. Doesn't matter if it's two women, two men, male, female. It doesn't matter. Business partners, boss, employee relationships, any kind of relationship can benefit from trying to think about, empathetically, what is this other person experiencing? What is their life like? Where are they coming from? Seek first to understand, and then to be understood. And it will create empathy that will help you to get into your heart space, because once you understand someone, because you have to understand another person, get into your own emotional body and heal it. And that's a whole other talk. So, if anybody does want any private time with me, I'm a certified life coach. I would love to help you. Get out of your head and into your heart. Get out of your groin and into your heart. Start having a whole lot more fun here on Spaceship Earth. Where we can have brotherly, sisterly love, and people can have great conversations, respect each other, have a lot of fun, and just end the programming where they're giving all their power away, all their time and energy away to things that they don't even like. All right, peace be with you, my friends. Jesus loves you, and so do I. Mwah!